bringing sports, entertainment, and technology podcasts together. This is SPNT.
You're listening to the Redleg Weekly Podcast. Audio bandwidth for the Redleg Weekly Podcast is provided by Stitcher.com. Download the Stitcher Smart Radio app today at Stitcher.com/SPNT.
Gunning for their 92nd win. 1-2 pitch. And a bouncer toward the middle of the diamond. Phillips gets it. To second out. To first out. Double play. Reds win. Reds win. And with it, they are crowned the National League Central Division champions for 2012. They mob each other out on the field just to the left of the mound. Starting with Chapman right in the middle of it. Here come the pitchers from the bullpen. Players from the dugout. They all convene to the third base side of the mound, enjoying this National League Central Division Championship for 2012, marking the second time in 3 years the Reds are the kings of the Central Division.
Oh, yes. Jim Kelch on the call on the Cincinnati Reds Radio Network. Reds National League Central Division champions for the second time in 3 years. Glad you could join us here on Redleg Weekly. I am your host, Nick Suberling. We've got a lot to discuss this week on the podcast. It's the first time that we've been able to record a podcast as National League Central champions. I'm excited. I know my co-host, my partner in crime, Dave Brem, is excited. Dave, what's happening, man? How you doing?
Not a whole lot. First year of the podcast, we win the division. Coincidence, or are we the key?
If only that worked for my Bengals podcast. I'm just kidding. We're glad you could join us, though, everybody, and so excited here for episode 27, the Scott Rowland edition of Redleg Weekly. We'd love to hear your thoughts on everything Reds. Email us at podcast@redlegfans.com. You can also hit us up on Twitter. We're at Redleg Weekly. So the Reds winners over the weekend. They won on Saturday afternoon, I should say, with a national television audience tuned in to Fox to see the double play to end the game. It was very interesting on Friday night. And Dave, I know you were there. When you saw Jay Bruce walk up in the ninth inning to lead off, did you think it was going to happen again? I know I did.
Yeah, and I tweeted about this. I'm like, this can't be real life. This doesn't happen even for that opportunity to come. And if he would have done it, it just would have been crazy, and obviously for more reason than one. But I can't say that I thought he was going to do it, but I thought it was crazy even the fact that he was up with the possibility of it happening.
I honestly thought there's just no way. It was like it was almost meant to be, you know. He come up with at the bottom of the ninth inning again at home, and that first pitch he got, I thought that was the pitch. It was right down the pike. Everybody on Twitter, they all tweeted at the same time, "Oh my God, that was the pitch!" And he just fouled it off, just missed it. He ended up, I believe, he ended up striking out. But then again, everybody else did in that inning too. Unfortunately, they lose on Friday night. It was a crazy turn of events because on Friday afternoon, the Cubs were down to their final out, and Darwin Barney hits a home run to tie the game at Wrigley to go into extras, and the Cubs end up winning in the 10th inning, I believe, which lowered the Reds' magic number to 1. So everybody's thinking, oh, Friday night, it's clinch miss. You were excited. You were there. What was the atmosphere like before the game once everybody knew the magic number was down to 1?
Well, we were listening to the Cards game on the way down to Cincinnati. Thanks to wonderful technology and iPhone apps, I can listen to whatever game I want, so that was cool. And we heard they were going into the bottom of the 10th, and I'm not kidding, I bolted into that stadium because I knew they were playing it on the Jumbotron. I gave the guy just enough time to scan my ticket, and we got there in time to see that final hit to win the game everybody was just staring at the Jumbotron. Everybody celebrated like the Reds had just won a game, which was awesome. First time you'll ever see Reds fans celebrate a Cubs win, I'm pretty sure. But it was just, and you did. After that happened, you felt like that was the day. Like they were going to, after that, they're not going to clinch. everybody just fully expected it to happen. They had plenty of chances that night. It just wasn't meant to be. Obviously, I was a little impartial. I wanted it to happen even more since that was the one I got to be at. But hey, they clinched. They won the division. And you know what? I wish I could have been there for it, but I was just as happy. It would have been happy if Fox would let me watch it on TV. But it is what it is, and we're still division champions.
That brings us to another topic here on the podcast, and that is Fox, the Saturday afternoon baseball, carrying all the games regionally. Now, you and I live in the state of Ohio. We're, in fact, about 2.5 to 3 hours away from Cincinnati. Where we live, there are a lot of Reds fans, believe it or not, up here in Northwest Ohio. But we were stuck with the Detroit Tigers-Minnesota Twins game. And what was unfortunate about that, yes, the Tigers are also in a pennant race, but they were playing the Twins, who are god-awful. The game was a blowout. Fister ended up pitching a complete game shutout. Thankfully, that game ended, so we had a chance to tune in and see the action live. And I know you were very upset about Fox's decision to basically eliminate half the state of Ohio as far as seeing the coverage. How did you end up watching it? Did you end up watching it? Did you just stick with your iPhone app and listen to the game? What did you end up doing?
I just ended up listening to it, which I'll be honest, there are days during the week I end up doing that anyways because I prefer the announcers over the TV announcers. But it just made me so angry. A clinch game, you flex it to national TV, which is supposed to be an honor, except for all the fans that watch every game. They don't get to watch it. And I realize that both of us are technically closer to Detroit, but we live in the state of Ohio. I know easily 10 times more Reds fans than Detroit fans here. I don't know about you because you're a little bit closer to the border.
It's the same way.
Yeah. We're in the state of Ohio, and that game, like you said, didn't mean anything. Yes, Detroit's in the hunt, but like you said, the Twins are terrible. Nobody was, oh, did you catch that Twins-Detroit game? In Detroit, they weren't asking that. And the Reds, all they had to do was win. It wasn't like they had to win and a team that was also playing had to lose. It was a magic number of 1. Why would the whole country not get that game? And if you're not going to give the whole country that game, I don't understand how hard it would be, and maybe this is impossible. I don't know the ins and outs of TV. Just let that feed run on FS Ohio too. Like, I understand if you want that game to be national, but at least let the local stations also carry it.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I honestly feel bad for guys like, and he gets a lot of flack, but Tom Brenneman misses out on a chance to call a division championship because he is basically booted out of the booth. Now, granted, he may not have been there anyway because of NFL obligations, but still, you would much rather have your own guys who have been there all year call the game. I will say this. I'm a huge Marty Brenneman fan, but Jim Kelch was spot on. He got it right out of the gate. I, as a former play-by-play person myself, I've always wondered how I would react in those situations. And he's called, International League championships for the bats before, but this is Major League Baseball. This is the Cincinnati Reds. And kudos to Jim. He got it right. He did a fantastic job with that call. Well done to Jim Kelch. And I was just a little bummed with everything that played out on Saturday, including, let's not forget, the Fox Sports Ohio coverage after the game. Now, granted, technical difficulties happen all the time. Trust me, I know. It happens all the time here at SPNT. All the time. But this is multi-million-dollar equipment, a multi-million-dollar organization, and they completely, not to use a football analogy because it's baseball, but okay, they struck out. I mean, that was just, I feel bad because I know that all the crew and everything that everything that went into making that production live on Saturday afternoon right after the game, and to just not even be able to air it, Dave, that was just and as fans, we were on Twitter getting very disgruntled and couldn't believe it. But there's a whole new segment of population in the state of Ohio that now knows what cruising is.
Yeah, Cruising got a spike in ratings. I can promise you that. And I don't blame FS Ohio for that. To be honest, it kind of seemed like Big Fox didn't get out of there as quick as they promised, and they were supposed to be in it. They were supposed to get out as soon as possible, and that's another thing is I don't understand the ins and outs, so I don't know what it takes to switch over. But you got the feeling that Fox Sports Ohio was going to pick up as soon as Fox got done. And I think one of their bigger problems was the fact that they led people to believe that there wasn't going to be a lag at all. If they would have been like, hey, there's going to be like 10 minutes while we switch over, we wouldn't have been expecting as much, and maybe we wouldn't have been as angry. But it was disheartening. I did watch the hour or the half-hour special they did tonight, which was kind of nice. They did it commercial-free, and they did a good job. But by this time, I mean, all the excitement of the clinch, I mean, I'm still thrilled to be clinched, but it's not like it was Saturday night.
It's certainly not like it was 2 years ago. You know, on a walk-off, Jay Bruce home run, first time in 15 years the team had been in the postseason. So there were a lot of things that went into this, and it just wasn't the same. And I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's what the fan base needs, that by now we're getting more and more used to these types of celebrations that, oh, okay, they clinched. Now what are they going to do in the postseason?
Exactly. 2010, we were happy to be there. We were happy to make the playoffs. We talked about this before. I don't even think Reds fans expected much with that. We ran into a juggernaut that was the Phillies team that year. But this year, nobody expects this to be it. Nobody expects the first round to be it. Most people, including national media, don't expect the second round to be it. They expect us to win the National League champions. So it's one of those things that, yeah, it's awesome, but when you're expected to do more, it's not as big of a celebration, but they still look like they had a lot of fun.
Then on Sunday night, the Reds played on another national stage. They were on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN against the Dodgers. Really had Clayton Kershaw on the ropes, Dave, and then just for some reason could not capitalize. You got a guy in Kershaw who was uncharacteristically wild. 5 walks in I think he only pitched 5 innings. They really let him off the hook, and unfortunately, Adrian Gonzalez got his home run stick back in Great American Ballpark. Reds lose on Sunday night. I believe they still remain a half game behind the Nationals for the best record in the National League, which is unfortunate because the Nationals also lost on Sunday, so there was a chance for them to make up some ground there. But you and I have been debating whether or not that's not necessarily a good thing. You think that the Reds would be better off with the 2 seed, but I argue that they're better off with the 1.
Yeah, and I just think it'd be nice. It's bad enough we have to travel. I just think it would be nice to know where we're going, at least. And I don't even think it's as big of a deal as most people, the whole first 2 games on the road. It's unfortunate, but it's not a killer. If we take 1 of 2, we're in the driver's seat and we're in pretty good shape. So I'm not as mad about that, but I would rather know where we're going as opposed. But I can see the other side where theoretically the wild card winner is going to be a worse team and they're going to have wasted their number 1 pitcher. So I can see both sides of the coin, but personal preference, I'd rather know where we're going.
No, let's not forget, too, the first year of the 3-division setup in 1995, the Reds were the National League Central Division champions. They went on the road for their 5-game series for their first 2 games. They went to L.A., won the first 2 games there, and then won the 3rd game in Cincinnati. So it's not like the Reds haven't done this before. Granted, that was a long time ago, but still, it has been done. But you and I have talked, and there's the theory that you don't want to go to San Francisco for those first 2 games because the Reds historically don't play well there.
Yeah, and that's true too, but they don't play well there when they're relying on the long ball, and right now they're really not relying on the long ball. Plus, I think if we go to San Francisco, I think you have to start Latos and Bailey in San Francisco. I know you want to start your best 2 to start out, but Latos pitches well in San Francisco. Bailey pitches like hell at home, so you got to try to get him to pitch on the road, and they won't. They're going to pitch Cueto and then probably Arroyo, because I think that's what they switched their rotation to. But if it was me, I'd go Latos Bailey if you're going to pitch all 4 pitchers in the first round.
I would say See, that's a good point. See, I didn't even think about that. As far as the Bailey's numbers on the road are staggeringly better than they are at home.
And let's give him credit. He's in September. He has done a lot
That's
better
true.
at home, but he's still a different pitcher on the road.
That's true. I would wow. See, I would start Arroyo out in San Francisco because he has the tendency to give up the long ball. He has those outings occasionally where people are just hitting the ball hard off of him, and that's a park, especially when it's cold. That's a tough park to hit home runs in, and you know that maybe with the defense that the Reds have, that they could help keep the balls in play. So that's a tough call. I would think you would want Latos to pitch. Wow, yeah. See, that's a tough call. See, I'm glad I'm not the manager.
Yeah, and it might not come down to that. We might end up being the 1 seed and playing more than likely either St. Louis or Atlanta. If it's St. Louis, we can just stay there after the last series, so that wouldn't be as bad. But can you imagine we win the division, have the second best record in the National League, and then a day and a half before we find out we have to go to Atlanta? Like that from St. Louis more than likely. Because I doubt they're going to leave St. Louis on the off chance that that's where they have to stay. But there's just something about that. I'd just rather know, hey, after we get done with the St. Louis series, we're going to San Fran.
Well, we'll see what happens. It's going to be a big week. The Reds finish off the year with 9 games here, 6 of them against teams with winning records. The one series they're playing this week where they don't face a team with a winning record is ironically the Pittsburgh Pirates. And you talk about falling with style. I mean, they had a game lead, a 1-game lead at the All-Star break, and now they don't even have a winning record, and they are on the ropes. They have the potential now to finish the year without a winning record. They were going for, I believe they were I think 19 straight years or something like that, where they needed to have a winning record, or I don't know what the streak is. I know it's been a while since Pittsburgh's had a winning record, so I in a way I feel bad, but at the same time I don't care. It's just, the way that they did it was kind of I kind of feel bad, Dave.
No, you feel like there's a difference between feeling bad and truly feeling awful for the team. Like, I wish they could have at least had a winning record. I don't want them to win the division, obviously.
Right.
But of the teams in our division, if one has to finish second with a decent record, I'm gonna vote Pittsburgh every year. So, yeah, and we talked about this earlier in the season that we thought that was gonna be our chief competitor, and it just didn't turn out to be. They pulled a Pirates, which Pirates fans have got to be getting sick of. That toward the end of the year, they just fall off.
We just got a funny tweet, Dave, from @MrRedlegs11 in response to me tweeting about our show being live every Monday night at 9. He says, "All I see is cruising." Well done. Well done. That is pretty funny.
Well played.
Oh my goodness. So that's let's take a quick time out, then let's do some shout outs.
Shout outs.
Who you got this week, Dave?
I'm going to give a shout out. We've gave him a shout out a couple times on here, but the Redleg Radio Report, they were actually at the clinching game. And then they had me call in on Saturday, talked a little bit about being there Friday night and the anger behind Fox. So they gave me a chance to shout out the show on there, and always good guys to talk to.
I'm going to give a shout out this week. It's a little bit different. We actually got an email from a listener. His name's John. He says, "Listen to your recent podcast and thought I might comment on some things. I watch baseball until the World Series is over. You recently had stated you don't watch as much because of the NFL. A Super Bowl has never been won in September, October, nor has one been lost. If you're from Cincinnati, as I am, you know we are usually talking baseball end of November, early December, with our Bungles usually eliminated by then. And finally, Dave, leak over Bailey? Come on, man. Quit overusing the medical marijuana." Thanks, John, for your email. We certainly appreciate it. If you want to send us some feedback, hit us up at podcast@redlegfans.com. We'd love to hear your feedback. A great email from John. Dave, I'll let you go ahead and throw out your rebuttal there. he did bring up some good points about the Bengals and Reds and how quickly things shift in Cincinnati as far as who we're ready for. But he did bring up an awesome point, too, about Leak over Bailey.
Yeah, and I will say that I think it was more the first week of the NFL that kind of got us, because I don't know about you, but after that first week, and I know this Sunday, while I still watched the Bengals game, I was still keeping an eye on the Reds, and obviously since the Reds didn't play at the same time, it wasn't that big of a deal. Leak over Bailey, I wish I could say that was a while ago, but I think it was only a couple weeks, and yeah, I was wrong. I thought they were close to the same pitcher, and Leak brought more to the table batting and running. Recently, that has not been the case at all. I was wrong. Bailey is obviously our fourth starter and deserves to be. And as far as the medical marijuana, Ohio does not have that law yet, so that it was not an issue. And I would not do well in prison, so that is not something I partake in.
Wow. All right, then. So shall we move on?
I think it might be a good idea.
The Reds, by the way, John, thank you again for your email. Certainly appreciate it. Hit us up if you have some feedback. Podcast at redlegfans.com. And, hey, you can even call us. We've got a voicemail line. Leave us a voicemail, 404-946-3397. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can check us out live at spnt.tv/live. We'd love to see you in the chat room talking some Reds playoffs here in the next few weeks. Should be a lot of fun. And while you're at it, don't forget to rate and review the show on iTunes. We'd love to hear your feedback, whether it's good or bad. And we'd love to get the word out there. Speaking of getting the word out there, starting on October 1st, the Podcast Awards, yes, this is a real thing, the Podcast Awards nominations begin on October 1st, and we'll have a form that you can fill out on our website so you can get Redleg Weekly and some of your other favorite SPNT shows nominated for the 2012 Podcast Awards. Last year, our sister podcast, Who Day Weekly, was a finalist in the sports category. Let's hope that we can have all of our sports podcasts here at SPNT nominated as well. All right, Dave, so let's wrap things up here with some I guess we could talk about the week that is coming up. 3 against the Cardinals, Brewers, and Pirates. But all of these games are really important as far as the standings go. You want to keep winning because you don't want to fall behind and have the 3rd seed. You still want to end up battling for that home field advantage.
Yeah, for sure. And while the number one priority for the next 9 games is to keep people healthy, you obviously don't want to go into the playoffs on a losing streak. And like you said, the standings obviously can still be affected. You don't want to fall to 3 at all because then you lose home field as it goes. I know, I think I read something about Chris Spire said he'd rather be the 3 seed, and I don't understand that at all. But you got to keep people healthy. Don't put anybody out there that's even a little bit sore. Get people together. Get Chapman back in his rhythm. And, yeah, keep winning these games. Stay firmly in second, and I'm obviously not going to be angry if we end up with the best record in National League.
No, you're not. I hope that they end up with the best record and right now they have the chance to have the best record in baseball, which really doesn't matter because the home field advantage is determined by the All-Star game winner. Regardless, you still want to keep winning. You want to be sharp. You want to maintain that edge. And I was really disappointed yesterday to see the lineup that they trotted out after winning the division. No Jay Bruce. We haven't seen Ryan Ludwig in a couple days. I think he's injured though slightly, and they're hoping to get him back for the postseason here. There's been some debates on who plays where. We all know that Dusty, which by the way, we're glad Dusty's okay, and it looks like there's rumors that he may not manage the rest of the regular season. If he needs to get rest, I'd much rather him be rested up for the postseason here coming up in a couple weeks. But we're glad Dusty's well, and we send him our good thoughts and good wishes here at Redleg Weekly. I think Dusty's probably going to end up playing Scott Rowland at third as much as he can because we know that Dusty prefers the vets. He prefers pitching and defense over the offense, which you can't argue. That is really what's gotten the Reds where they're at all year, Dave.
Yeah, thank God for defense and pitching because our offense has been shaky at best recently. So we always talk about, he loves the little things, pitching and defense, but that's what's winning us games right now. So I can't blame him. And as much as I love Todd Frazier, I think Scott Rowland is going to be very important in these playoffs.
So what would you do in center field though? Because we know that Drew Stubbs is not swinging a very good bat. Probably hasn't in years. I mean, we're being bluntly honest here, but you cannot argue with his defense, especially if they're going to San Francisco and they're playing in that huge outfield. You're going to want Drew Stubbs out there.
Yeah, if they're playing in San Fran, even I can't argue for Heisey. What Stubbs lacks at the plate in a park like San Fran, he fully makes up for, and he's no longer hitting second, which is a big deal because when he's hitting second, it hurts a lot more than when he's hitting seventh.
Now, to be fair, early in the year when Dusty moved him up to second, he kind of got hot, but I mean, it's like I don't know.
Yeah, so I say definitely in the bigger parks, like if we play in San Francisco, you got to play him. But I don't think he'll start every playoff game. So I think Heisey will get at least one start in the first series, and we'll see how the other series work themselves out. But he, like you said, he's not swinging the bat, but you've got to have his defense out there. And anybody who's listened to the show all season knows I haven't always been on that train. His defense overshadows everything. But in a park like San Fran, you can't argue that.
Right. No, and you could say the same thing too about Scott Rowland. We know he has a better glove than Todd Frazier, but Rowland not swinging the bat, all year as good as Frazier has. Though Frazier has, he has really hit a wall, Dave. And in fact, honestly, when you look at the Reds' offense right now, nobody's hitting.
Yeah, and that's going to make it a little more tolerable. Rowland starting over Frazier is the fact that Frazier's come down to earth a little bit. And I still think Frazier's going to be one of the first guys off the bench in pitch hit situations. He very easily could get a start in a series, depending on how the games work out. I don't know exactly how like day after day games go.
They don't normally have day games in the postseason.
Well, I meant like consecutive days. I don't know if they play, because usually they play 2 games a night. If they play the late game one day and then the early night game the next day, I don't know if that's in Rowland's got that in his body. So it's nice to have this thing where we're not worried when the backup third baseman's coming in. We're not worried when our backup center fielder's coming in. So I think we'll be okay, and I think Frazier and Heisey will see at least a little bit of playing time in the playoffs.
Yeah, let the debates begin, because this is where the second guessing gets a lot of fun. Maybe not so much for our manager who's already in ill health, but hopefully everything will be fine and he'll be ready to go starting it here in the second week of October. Is there anything else that we need to get to this week, Dave? Because I'm just so amped and I'm ready. I'm coming off that high of being excited, them clinching, and it's like I've almost hit a wall because I was excited Saturday afternoon, then Saturday night the Irish won, and then Sunday afternoon the Bengals won, and I'm just kind of like my body emotionally is just not prepared. Like I've hit a wall. I'm like physically exhausted. I'm physically and mentally exhausted.
Yeah, it's a good week to have the Monday off because, like you said, I'm gonna enjoy this. We're gonna get done recording, and I'm 22 years old and it's only 9:30, but I'm probably not gonna be up forever tonight because this weekend it took sports-wise took a lot out of us, and in a good way, obviously. So, I'm with you. A little bit of an very exciting weekend, and you'll take these every year.
Oh yeah, 100%, absolutely, you will. Like I said, congratulations to the Reds, to the Reds fan base. We haven't even touched on the woos. I love them. Do you like them? I love them.
No.
It's like the rally monkey.
No.
Come on. Woo! Woo!
Here's the thing.
Woo!
Okay. I understand. Can I talk for a second? Or are you gonna woo again? You want one more in?
Woo!
Oh, okay. That was pathetic. I actively hate the wave, and I will get angry at people for doing the wave. The woo, I'm not gonna participate, but I'm not gonna get mad at anybody for doing. So, I guess you can take that however you want, but it's much less annoying than the waif. I'll give it that.
I sure hope I woke my kids up. That was worth it. All right. So you basically the next time you're going to a game will be in the postseason, right?
Yes, sir.
Me too. I got 2 tickets to Game 5 of the National League Division Series Championship. So I'm looking forward to that. I won in the lottery, so I'm pretty amped about that. I think we talked about that last week on the podcast. I'm pretty sure we did. But yeah, I ended up getting 2 tickets, and I'm excited. Don't know who I'm going to take yet.
Yeah, it should be good if they make it that far. Obviously, here's the thing. That's one of those risks. If they make it that far, it's obviously the game you want to have.
Right.
You're also risking not having a game at all.
And okay, I'll get my money back.
Yeah, exactly. So I can see from your point of view, if you had to pick one, that's the one I would have picked too.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to make the trip down there, so there's costs involved with that. I'd much rather than win.
I know.
Yeah.
There's cost. There's cost involved in going down there.
I'd much rather than win and clinch the series early, so I don't have to go. But I would like to be there in person. It's not gonna hurt my feelings anymore, any less. But the cool thing is, I think I'm still eligible for like the championship series too. So I'm not really sure how all that works and yada yada. Let's not count our chickens before it hatches. You know, all that mumbo jumbo. I'm just excited that I have a chance to go see some postseason baseball for the first time in my life, in person, live. It should be a lot of fun. That's gonna wrap things up for episode 27. Dave, have a safe one this week, and we'll talk next Monday.
Sounds like a plan.
Don't forget, you can email us at podcast@redlegfans.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at Redleg Weekly. Redleg Weekly is an SPNT production. For more information about our other podcasts, log on to spnt.tv. For my co-host, Dave Brem, I'm Nick Stuberling. Hey, we'll see you next time on Redleg Weekly. Woo! Yeah, I know you like that, Dave.
Now you're even bringing Thursday Tech Talk into the show?
I know, I messed up.
I swear to God, this is your least favorite show.
No,
I see how it is.
I messed up. Damn. I don't even have that. Oh, there it is. Boom. What are you going to do? I got it switched. We're good.